John McEnroe swore he would never say it, he just did. Live on BBC commentary, the confession slipped out, and it changed everything. Sinner is back to his best. And here's the line that seals it. When your opponent says he will learn from you, that is the moment you know the fear has returned to tennis. The proof piled up fast. Friday night, Brooksby got dismantled in straight sets. A 10th consecutive Wimbledon win hit the books. Hours later came the dagger. Shintaro Mochizuki, the qualifier waiting on Sunday, gushed about facing a celebrity. He sounded like a student clutching a golden ticket, not a rival plotting an upset. So the debate is over, right? Wrong. Something darker lurks beneath this comeback. Paris still haunts the champion. McEnroe himself blamed stress, nerves, secrets players hate confessing. Italy descended into chaos after that collapse. Tests followed behind closed doors. Nobody released the results. Now, a brutal 32-degree heat wave is marching toward London, carrying the exact conditions that broke him once before. History could repeat in the cruelest way imaginable. Hammer that subscribe button and pick a side in the comments. The evidence starts now. Somebody is about to get seriously angry. The story behind that confession begins in a commentary booth overlooking center court during Sinner's second-round match against Nuno Borges. McEnroe was on air for the BBC when the conversation turned to Paris, and what he revealed pulled back the curtain on 5 of the most secretive weeks in recent tennis memory. He told viewers that total chaos erupted in Italy after the Roland Garros defeat. He insisted the team ran tons of tests in the fortnight that followed, and he wagered they were still hunting for answers. Then came the part players never want spoken aloud. McEnroe declared that a large portion of the problem was mental, tied to nervousness and stress, even though professionals hate admitting any of it. Coming from a man who built his legend on brutal honesty, the diagnosis carried weight. It also carried history, because McEnroe pointed out this was nothing new. Sinner has cramped up on 3 or 4 separate occasions across the last couple of years, and his team has presumably been experimenting with everything from food intake onward to contain the issue. To understand why that admission matters so much now, you need to sit with what actually happened on May 28th. Sinner arrived at Roland Garros riding a 30-match winning streak stretching back to March. He had swept all 5 Masters 1000 events he entered that spring, a level of dominance the tour had rarely witnessed. His first-round win over Clement Tabor extended the run and made him look untouchable. Then Juan Manuel Carundolo walked onto court for the second round, ranked far outside the elite, and the unthinkable unfolded in slow motion. Sinner led by 2 sets to love. He led 5-1 in the third. The finish line was 1 game away, and under a punishing Parisian sun, his body simply stopped cooperating. He won a single game from that point onward. The world number 1, the most reliable front-runner in the sport, crumbled into a 5-set defeat that ended his tournament before the first week was done. It marked his earliest Grand Slam exit since the 2023 French Open, and it left the tennis world asking a question nobody could answer. Was this a freak accident of heat and nerves, or the first visible crack in an empire? His response to that humiliation tells you everything about the champion Mochizuki now describes with such reverence. Sinner did not chase quick redemption. He entered none of the grass court events in the 3 weeks between Paris and London, resisting every temptation to grab an easy trophy and a confidence boost. Instead, he went home to Italy and submitted to the very tests McEnroe described, a full medical investigation into why his body betrayed him. He and his team then committed to training longer sessions in hotter conditions, deliberately seeking out the discomfort that destroyed him in Paris. He arrived in London earlier than usual to find his footing on the unfamiliar surface, working on what he called small details and small changes. The strategy was a gamble of the highest order. Walking into a title defense with 0 competitive grass matches meant betting everything on preparation over rhythm, and for one terrifying afternoon, the bet looked lost. Opening day at Wimbledon nearly ended the fairy tale. Before it began, Miomir Kekmanovic, the Serbian ranked 50th in the world, took the first set off a visibly rusty champion whose serve kept misfiring. Double faults piled up, frustration crept in. Sinner steadied himself to level the match, then disaster struck in the third set. He fell awkwardly behind the baseline, a scary bend of the knee on grass so fresh nobody had practiced on it. Moments later, blood began seeping through his sneaker. The image shot around the world within minutes, a champion bleeding on center court, dropping the third set tiebreak, standing one set from the most humiliating title defense in modern Wimbledon history. His record in deciding sets offered no comfort either, since he had lost his previous 5 matches that went the distance and carried a career 5-set record of 6 wins against 12 defeats. Everything about the situation screamed collapse. What happened instead revealed the answer Paris never gave. Sinner never even glanced at the bloodied foot, later explaining it was just a toenail and dismissing it completely. He fired 31 aces across the contest, seized the 4th set with ease, and closed out the 5th to win 4-6, 6-3, 6-7, 6-2, 6-3 after 3.5 hours of struggle. Buried inside that scoreline sat a statistic that changes how you should view his entire career. Never before had Sinner won a match from 2 sets to 1 down. The comeback that had eluded him through 4 Grand Slam titles finally arrived on the exact day he needed it most, with the ghosts of Paris watching from every corner of the grounds. The victory also carried him level with Nicola Pietrangeli for the most Grand Slam match wins by an Italian man, and 2 days later he claimed the record outright. Nuno Borges pushed him hard in the second round, even serving for the second set at 5-4. But Sinner raised his level precisely when the pressure peaked. He broke back, took both opening sets in tiebreaks, and sealed a straight sets win worth 2.5 hours of grinding effort. 95 major match wins now belong to him, more than any Italian player in history. The performance was far from flawless, and he admitted afterward that the lack of matches was showing, yet the trajectory pointed unmistakably upward. A 5-set survivor on Monday had become a tie-break assassin by Wednesday. Friday would reveal whether the climb could continue. Jenson Brooksby represented a genuine trap, and informed fans knew it. The American thrives on grass, armed with an awkward, unorthodox style that keeps the ball skidding low and drags opponents out of rhythm. Plenty of observers predicted he would trouble the champion in the London heat. For 2 hours and 13 minutes on Court 1, Sinner dismantled that theory. He struck 13 aces, broke the American 6 times, and controlled the baseline with the kind of authority that defined his spring rampage. The 6-4, 6-3, 6-4 scoreline sent him into a 5th consecutive Wimbledon 4th round and stretched his winning streak at the All England club to 10 matches. Honesty demands acknowledging the imperfections too, because this channel deals in facts rather than fantasy. Sinner committed 26 unforced errors against 20 from his opponent, and Brooksby broke him while he served for the match at 5-3 in the 3rd. The touch around the net occasionally deserted him. Yet whenever danger genuinely threatened, he locked the door instantly, breaking straight back and finishing the job without drama. Statisticians then delivered the detail that elevated the win into history. Sinner became the youngest man to reach the Wimbledon second week in 5 or more consecutive seasons since Pete Sampras managed it between 1992 and 1996. His overall record at the tournament now stands at 23 wins against just 4 defeats. Names like that do not attach themselves to players who are merely surviving. Sampras comparisons arrive only when greatness becomes undeniable, and McEnroe understood exactly what he was watching. Which brings the story to the man waiting on Sunday, and to the quote that inspired everything you are watching. Shintaro Mochizuki should not be here by any conventional logic. The Japanese qualifier came into the tournament ranked outside the top 150, having barely won matches all year by his own admission. 7 years ago, he lifted the junior title at these very championships, becoming the first Japanese player ever to win a junior Grand Slam singles crown, and the tennis world briefly anointed him the heir to Kei Nishikori. The senior breakthrough never followed. His career-high ranking of 92 tells the tale of promise unfulfilled, right up until this fortnight, when something clicked on the London grass. He qualified without fuss, dominated the 47th-ranked Ethan Quinn in straight sets, then outlasted rising Spanish star Rafael Jodar across 4 sets to reach the first Grand Slam second week of his life. His reward is a center court appointment with the world number 1, and his reaction to that prize is where this entire narrative crystallizes. Mochizuki confessed he finds the situation strange. He admitted he barely knows Sinner personally, describing him as almost a celebrity in his eyes. He spoke about wanting to continue enjoying the experience, predicting the Italian would play fast and try to overpower him from the very first point. Listen carefully to those words. A professional athlete preparing for the biggest match of his existence sounds like a spectator who won a contest. No trash talk exists here, no bold upset prediction surfaced anywhere. The man across the net has already conceded the psychological battle, treating Sunday as an education rather than an opportunity. Opponents spoke about Djokovic this way during his prime years. They spoke about Federer this way at his peak. That precise brand of reverence is the tell McEnroe recognized, the moment you know a champion's aura has fully returned. Drop your take in the comments right now, because this question splits every fanbase. Does an opponent's admiration prove dominance, or does it prove nothing until the trophy is lifted? Sinner himself refuses to touch the narrative, and his caution deserves examination. Asked to assess his level after 3 matches, he described trying to find his way in, feeling better with each round, taking a small step forward. He delivered a line that should hang in every locker room, noting that nobody wins a tournament in the first week, but anyone can lose it there. He even pushed back against assumptions about Sunday, calling Mochizuki very dangerous on grass, praising how low the ball stays off his racket, labeling him a very aggressive player, and pointing out they have never trained together or faced each other. Some will call that standard champion humility, others will hear something more revealing: the voice of a man who led 5-1 in a Grand Slam match 5 weeks ago and lost. A man who understands better than anyone alive how quickly certainty evaporates. The landscape around him makes this fortnight even more charged. Carlos Alcaraz, the rival who traded the last several major finals with him and the man he beat for this very title 12 months ago, is completely absent, sidelined by a wrist problem that has swallowed a huge chunk of his 2026 season. Daniil Medvedev, the seeded quarterfinal threat who eliminated Sinner from Wimbledon in 2024 and pushed him to deciding sets twice this season, crashed out in straight sets to Jan-Lennard Struff. Every projected obstacle keeps dissolving before Sinner reaches it. One legend remains standing in the draw, and his presence looms over everything. Novak Djokovic, 39 years old and hunting a record equaling 8th Wimbledon crown, just matched Roger Federer's mark for the most men's singles match wins in tournament history. The 7-time champion sits in the opposite half, meaning the collision everyone craves can only happen in the final. 2 weeks ago, that matchup felt like a coronation for the Serb against a wounded number 1. The Brooksby demolition flipped the script entirely. Except one enemy remains that no draw can protect him from, and it is already on the forecast. Temperatures at Wimbledon are set to reach 32 degrees Celsius next week, arriving precisely as the matches lengthen and the stakes multiply. Heat broke Sinner in Paris. Heat has troubled him at multiple events across recent seasons, including this year's Australian Open. His entire preparation since Roland Garros was engineered around this exact scenario. The longer sessions, the deliberate hot weather training, the medical testing McEnroe referenced. Sunday against Mochizuki begins the examination, and every round afterward raises the temperature in both senses. If his body holds through the furnace of the second week, the redemption arc completes itself and the Paris collapse becomes a footnote. If it fails again with a title on the line, everything McEnroe admitted gets rewritten overnight, and the whispers about a fatal flaw become a roar. That unresolved tension is what makes this the most fascinating storyline in tennis right now. A champion has rediscovered his best form at the precise moment his greatest weakness prepares its next ambush. So the confession stands, the streak stands, and the opponent has already bowed before a ball is struck. Whether history remembers this Wimbledon as the fortnight Sinner silenced every doubt or the fortnight the cracks reopened will be decided under that brutal sun, and you will want to be here when it happens. Smash the subscribe button right now and ring the notification bell, because this channel will break down every twist of the second week the moment it unfolds. Drop a comment declaring your prediction, share this video with the tennis fan who still doubts the world number 1, and stand by for the next chapter. The heat wave is coming. The champion is ready. Somebody is about to be proven badly wrong.